and welcome to my channel. Please hit the like and subscribe button to stay consistent through these workouts. All right, it is week 3, my friends, and we are warming up with some cat-cow. Lovely. Inhale into that cow spine and exhale into that cat spine. Inhale and exhale. Warming up that spine is so important, my friends. That's why it's one of my favorite warm-ups. All right, so big inhale and then extend one arm and the opposite leg behind you. We're going into some bird dog. Think about pushing the foot back to the wall, or in this case, the fence behind you, not up towards the ceiling or sky. We want to keep that pelvis as neutral as we can. So we don't want to open up the hip. We don't want to use the low back to extend that leg. We want to use the hamstring and glute. Push back into that downward dog and just walk those heels out. Stretch the spine, wiggle, waggle, whatever you got to do. And then we're going to do that whole sequence one more time. Yes. Inhale into that cow spine and exhale into that cat spine. Maybe you have a little bit greater range of motion to play with this second round. Go for it. Take your time. We are in this week 3, my friends. You are doing great. And even if you're just starting with us, that is amazing. I'm so happy you're here. Good. Keep going into that bird dog position, exhaling to extend those limbs. You should feel this a little bit in your core, right? Maybe in the shoulders because you're stabilizing too, but mainly in the core and a little bit in that lifting hamstring and glute. Tuck those toes under, push back into a downward facing dog and walk those heels out. Stretch that spine and then come on down. Excellent. Here we go. We got some kickbacks. We're going to do all 3 sets on one leg. Flex that foot. I'm going on my elbows here, but you can totally do this on your hands. The elbow position does give you a little bit more range of motion to play with. But remember, we're keeping those hips level. So if your hip bones were headlights, they'd both be pointing towards your mat. Then we're going to straighten out that leg and do a straight leg lift. Contrary to their name, it's not a kick. Don't be kicking that leg back. Lift it with the hamstring and the glute, particularly right where they meet. Remember last week we called it the butt shelf. Here in these lateral, some people call them fire hydrants, lateral kickouts. We're mainly using the glute medius. And then we turn in and turn out. Now the leg is behind you. It is not out to the side, and we're not moving it out to the side. We're simply rotating it in the socket. Externally rotate, internally rotate. Externally rotate, internally rotate. And that feeling comes right under the butt shelf, the booty shelf. That's where you're rotating from. And then we're staying in that rotated position and doing a few extra lifts to really get the glute in a 360 kind of way. That was only round 1. Now we're going on to round 2. All 3 sides on the same foot. So we haven't switched legs yet, my friends. I'm sorry in advance. Excellent. Straight up to the ceiling, like you're stamping the ceiling in those first ones. It's a 90-degree bend. And then we move into a straight leg, which is, again, a bigger lever. So you might feel it a little bit more than the first variation. And then we move it out to the side to target a different part of the glute. Squeeze those parentheses, my friends. Excellent. And then you lift it to the back and you just rotate it out. Think about that knee pointing out and down, out and down. And it's right where the hamstring meets the glute that does that work. And then you're keeping that knee pointed out and you're coming down and lifting back up. When you're in the down position, your ankles should naturally cross. And that's a good way to tell that you're in the right position because you can't always see it. Oh, yes. One more round. We are almost there. Slash not really, because we just started. Should be a t-shirt. Like, no, we're not almost there. Anyway, lift it up and bring it down. Up and bring it down. This last round, you might need some momentum. Try not to use it. Try to just lift, use those muscles. We're trying to get at that overload principle. Beautiful. Then out to the side. Yes. The ones out to the side, you'll see a lot of people shift super far to get that leg higher. You don't need to get your leg higher. It'll go however high it goes. You want to concentrate the movement in the muscles. I don't want to use my shoulders, my opposite shoulder, or my back to lift that leg. I want to use my glutes and my hamstrings. A little bit of the core to stabilize, but not to lift that leg. So take a video of yourself and see how far you're twisting your hips in order to get that leg up. It should be very minimal. As minimal as possible. Holy glutes, people. Holy glutes, Batman. Whew. Alrighty. You've got that leg and another one. Another one. Take your time, mentally prepare, and then if you were on your elbows for the first side, unfortunately you have to stay on them for the second side. Straight back, stamping that footprint on the ceiling, or the sky in my case. Straight back in that 90 degree, and then you extend to lift, lift. Yes. Right where the hamstring meets the glute. And then we go out to the side. There's like a minimal shift, but not too much. You don't want to shift too much. It is just as far as your range of motion allows. Good. Straight back with that leg, and then it turns in, out and in, out and in. And then you stay out, and those ankles just cross and lift. I also like to keep the foot flexed, particularly in this position, because when my ankles crossed with a flexed foot, it naturally should fit. So if the toe is pointed, you might not know exactly where you're at. Okay, here we go, another round. Also in this 90 degree one, I also like to keep the foot flexed. I pretty much keep the foot flexed the whole time. Because it helps me know where my body is moving in space. I can visually think about stamping the ceiling with my foot. And that keeps my knee bent, and then I straighten it, and then I just tap and lift. Tap and lift. This one, it doesn't really matter if it's pointed or if it's flexed. So, comfort. Excellent. Keep it going. You're almost there. You also might notice that your standing side glute feels a little bit, and that's because it's stabilizing. So don't worry too much about that. We're focusing on the muscles that we're using to lift and move that lifting leg around. Whoo. And they are feeling it. lift and lower, lift. Okay, yes, yes. We've got one more round, guys. We are jumping right into this workout, man. All right, straight back in that 90 degrees. You got this. Not only are these great, if you are strength training, this kind of sequence could be a really great cash out for those glutes and hamstrings after you've already lifted super heavy. Or like we're doing right now, we're using it kind of as a warm-up. This exercise is also great for longevity, right? You see older populations who they, can't stand up straight. They can't actually bend, flex and extend their hips, right? So by doing kickbacks, we are bending and extending. We're flexing and extending those hips. So this is good for keeping those hips nice and healthy and keeping those glutes nice and strong, even as whether you're using it as a cash out or a warm up or an auxiliary exercise or just something, a little bit of this every day to keep your hips mobile and functional. Lots of reasons. And it helps build a bigger booty. Better booty. All right, we are finally done with that. Oh, my dear. Oh, yes. We're just going to keep on going. Please take a second to hit the like and subscribe to stay consistent, people. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, let's continue. We've got abs. We have 5 different levels of abs here, and you are more than welcome to stay at level 1 or whatever level you land on. So we're going to lean back and you're going to tuck that pelvis, right? I like to think about it like tightening your seatbelt, right? When you click your seatbelt, you got the diagonal strap and you have the strap that goes across your tummy. If you pull on the diagonal strap, that lower strap pulls in. So when I say tighten your seatbelt, I mean pulling that lower strap in. And then we're going to lift those legs one at a time. You should, even just tucking your pelvis and tightening your seatbelt in that way gets those abs to turn on. So everything else is just kind of extra. So even if you weren't at level 1 yet, that was too difficult for you, just tuck that position or tuck that pelvis and hold that position. All right, you can stay with level 1 or you can try level 2. Same leaned back position. Remember, we're not watching TV, so push into the floor. And then you're going to bring those knees into a tabletop and extend one at a time. Now I'm hovering the foot. But if you wanted to do like a level 1.5, you could lower the foot all the way to take a little second break then lift it back in. You got options, my friends. You got options. That is the point. Good. Keep it going, and then we roll up to reset those abs. I'm not sure if this is an ab reset necessarily, but just a little extra. So you can stay at level 1, you can stay at level 2, or you can try level 3. All right, so same tucked position, leaning back. Now you straighten those legs as straight as you can get them. It's totally fine if they're not completely straight. And then we lower. Again, we're trying to hover off the floor, but if you wanted a half level, you could lower all the way down. Good. Pushing into the floor, no slouching. We're not watching TV. Excellent. Woo-hoo-hoo. And then roll-ups to reset. Or for extra abs, I'm not really sure. Lovely. Try to keep those feet down on the roll-ups. Okay. So you could do level 1, level 2, level 3, or level 4. Leaning back on those elbows. tucking that pelvis. This time we're gonna hover the legs out and draw one knee in. So this is kind of like level 1, except if instead of being on the floor with those feet, you're hovering. And again, if you're a little bit higher up towards the sky, it's gonna be slightly easier. If you're lower to the floor, hovering off the floor, it's gonna be harder. Okay. And roll it up and roll it down. Roll it up. Excellent. Abs on abs on abs. So, you could do level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, or level 5-ish if you wanted to. I don't know if my voice can get any higher. Actually, I can. Anyway, so lean back, tuck that pelvis, hover those legs, and then lift a straight-ish leg. Yes, these ones are hard. Ooh, yeah. The trick with these leaned back ab variations, very similar to like boat pose, is your core has to stay on. I cannot extend my spine, otherwise my back will do the work. And we don't want that. I don't want my low back to do the work for my abs, right? So if you're ever doing ab exercises and you feel your low back, I don't like saying that you're wrong, but you're just not very efficient. So, because those just, I mean, yeah, over time of doing that, you will probably hurt yourself. But in the immediate, it's less of a thing that you're going to hurt yourself and more that you're just training the wrong muscles. So if you thought we were done with abs, I'm sorry to report that, well, we're not. So we're going to go into a plank pull and some push-up negatives. So line that weight up behind one wrist and then pull it to the other side. Notice I'm pulling the weight and not pushing the weight. Be specific with yourself. Pull the weight across. Now again, mine doesn't slide on my mat or the grass, but if you're on a hardwood floor or something like that and your weight slides, that's totally fine. You can slide it. All right, so set yourself up. Shoulders right over those hands. Step those feet back and go slow down. This is a push-up negative. We're doing the negative phase of a push-up. Push that negativity away, or I guess pull it closer. You gotta hit bottom in order to climb to the top, my friends. So we're going as slow as we can in this phase. So especially if, you've been doing push-ups on your knees for a while and maybe you could do one, but you're not quite confident in that. These are great for building up that strength in the full range of motion of your push-up. All right, round 2. Line that weight up behind one wrist, pick a card, any card. Doesn't matter. Oh, there's a ladybug, guys. Yes, I don't want to squish her or it, them, I don't know. So I'm just going to move the little ladybug off my mat. If it will get off my finger. There we go. All right, back to business. I'm like a Disney princess or something. Come to me, all the woodland creatures. I was teaching a bar class out on my parents' deck, and this little butterfly landed on my finger and stayed there for the entire 20 minutes that I had left, and I just kind of kept it on my pinky. It was very cute. All right, back to these push-up negatives. You can also, because we're going slow, and we'll talk about this a little bit when we do squats, you can feel, hopefully, or if you take a video of it, you can see if your position is correct, right? Those shoulders are not coming up by my ears. They're staying stable. My elbows are driving back. I mean, they don't have to be locked into your side. They can be 45-ish degrees out, but they're locked in place. They're driving back and up behind you as opposed to out and up towards your ears, right? Shoulder blades are gently coming together. Round 3. You can also, if you video it, or even just notice what part of your body hits the floor first. when you're lowering yourself down all the way to the mat, what part of your body is hitting first? Is it your thighs? Is it your hips? Is it your belly button? Or is it your chest? Everything hitting at the same time. It should be fairly close to everything hitting at the same time. So if you find that your thighs and hips are hitting first, that's an indication that you're probably not setting up in a full plank. You're probably a little hyperextended in that low back. And so your hips are starting lower than your chest. They should start at the same level. And I'm sorry because I'm going extra slow. 4, 3, 2, 1. I did an 8 count instead of a 4 count on the very last rep because I'm just so mean. It's okay. Take a break and hydrate, my friends. I'm only mean during the workout, and it's not necessarily mean because it makes you stronger, so I don't think that's mean. Just saying. Anywho, if you have the time, take a second to follow me on Instagram. Another way to stay consistent. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment for me. I would love to hear how you're doing and what you want to work on. All right. Until then, let's do some squats, my friends. 3 sets. 3 sets. Okay, shoulder width apart in those feet, toes pointing generally forward. And we're going to slowly descend and pause for a second and then come back up. Slow on the way down, pause for a moment, and then come back up. I'm doing like a 3 count. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, and then up. But just slow down, pause for a hot minute, and then come back up. Hot minute, hot second. And then we're going to have 2 little pulses and a thruster. So the difference between a thruster and a squat to overhead press is that I'm trying to make it one smooth transition from the bottom of my squat through to that fully extended position. Whereas a squat with an overhead press, I'm going to squat, stand up, press, come back down, right? It's truncated. I think that's the right word. So then you're going to sit into that squat, lift those heels, and lower those heels. All 10 toes. I mean, I'm in shoes, so I understand you can't see that. But all 10 toes stay on the ground. And then keep those heels up to stretch. And then lower down. Nice. Okay. Another round. 2 more rounds. Slow, and then up. Slow, hold, and then up. Yes. Sitting into the whole foot. If you find that your heels are coming off, sit into your heels a little bit more. If you find that your knees are caving in and those pinky toes or the outer part of the foot is kind of wiggling off a little bit, then see if you can push those knees and sit into the outer side of the foot. Most people don't go too far out, but your foot is a triangle, right? Inside, outside, ball of the foot, and the heel. Those 3 points make a triangle, and you want to sit your weight into that triangle as evenly as you can. But depending on where you're shifting, why is this so hard today, guys? I don't know. Oh, it's one of those days. Anyway, depending on where you're shifting your weight and rocking to, then you can think about for you specifically sitting into the heels or sitting into the outer part of the foot. Oh yeah, I can feel this. I think it was all those kickbacks. All right, we've got one more round and my shoulders are a little dead. So I'm going to modify this a little bit by just placing the weights and kind of gently holding them in place. This is a version of modification, right? My shoulders are dead and, I can't do the third round like I did the first two, but I can still, I still got some energy in my legs. So I'm going to modify the arms a little bit to allow me to do a few more reps. And it's what you got to do. This one you can't really modify. I mean, you could straighten the arms and then add a curl to get them up, which would be less of a thruster and more of a squat to overhead press. But you know what? You do what you got to do. If that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. If your shoulders are completely dead, you can't do anything more overhead, then you can just hold them down and do the squats. It's totally fine. Just keep moving. That is the point. Squat, pulse, pulse, and lift. Yes, okay, we're finally done with that. Whew, okay, so we're gonna sit down. I'm using my arms kind of on the inside of my thighs a little bit just to help my knees track right over those toes. You want the heel to also track right over the middle of those toes. And check that balance and then come on down. All right, place those weights off to the side. We got reverse lunges, 3 sets, my friends. We're gonna alternate those feet. So one steps back and then the other steps back. Alternate. Full range of motion would be for that back knee to lightly tap the mat. But don't worry if you're not there yet. Hold here, wherever you're at. Try to stay low and tap that foot in and sit it right back into that lunge. Tap and lift, tap and back. We're trying to keep the weight in the back part of the front leg. So the hamstring and glute of the front leg. So try to stay low. And I think of you got a little forklift under your butt and just lifts you up just enough, right? But you're using those muscles instead of a forklift. And I don't know why it's a forklift. I'm sure there's something that's a little bit... Anyway, sometimes my analogies work and sometimes they don't. Deal with it. Round 2, we're alternating those lunges. Stepping back. And then we're going to hold, stay as low as you can, and tap in and back, in and back. This one, for me, I find it helpful to get the work in the hamstring and glute to think about sitting into that heel on the front side. But the inside-outside ball of my foot is still down. I'm not rocking back. But it does help for me personally to think about sitting into the heel. So try it. All right, one more round. Here we go. Reverse, reverse, reverse. And alternate. Good. You're almost there. Tap it in. Hang down, shift over to the other side and back, tap and back. Oh, this is hard, guys. This one is hard. And then stand up and wiggle. All right, now we got forward lunges. We did reverse. Now we're moving on to forward. So you're going to sit, lift, and then move forward on each side. So you have a little squat to a releve or heel raise, whatever you want to call it, and forward lunge on each side. Again, that full range of motion would be to lightly tap that back knee. But don't worry if you're not quite there. Just sit into that position as deep as you feel comfortable going. And then we're gonna lift those heels. Lift just a little extra calf. Oh, those calves, yes. So round 2, you can totally jump the squat if you want. As opposed to just doing a heel raise, you can sit and lift. Or you can still keep with the heel raise if jumping is not in your wheelhouse. You'll notice though that when I jump, I land in another squat. Squat, jump, squat, right? I want to land softly through my joints, through my feet, softly into the floor as much as I can, so that landing is strategic, right? I'm not stopping the momentum in my joints. I'm letting the momentum go through my joints, and it's a lot less impact. Well, I mean, it's still impact because it's a jump. All right, round 3. Again, you can squat to heel raise or squat to jump. Do, 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 do. Yes. You can do a few of each, whatever you need. Alrighty, and then lift those heels. All right, and then we're going to do a balance check. So lift those heels, squeeze those glutes, tighten that seat belt. All 10 toes, look to the right and look to the left and look up. Eek. All right, we're done. Whew. Well, we're not quite done. We've got one more, my friends, one more. Just 2 sets of these pliés. Nice wide stance, toes point out about 30 degrees or so, and sit nice and slow into that full range. And actually you want to set up towards the back end of your mat if you're on a mat. Sit down and lift. I'm going nice and slow so those knees, so I can focus on those knees tracking over those toes. We're going to stay here, and then we're going to close into a neutral squat, back into our plie. Neutral, plie. So that neutral squat, there's still some space. You're not really stepping your toes together. There's still some space in there. And then use your elbows to allow you to sit deep and lift those heels one at a time. Lift and lift. Lift and lift. If you want, you can try lifting both heels at the same time. All 10 toes stay down, not wobbling in and out. Knees push over the middle toe. Release your hands, use your glutes and legs, squeeze all the way up and lower down. Whew. All right, one more round, my friends. Lower down and lift it up. Lower down and lift it up. Your parentheses help to pull those knees out so they stay over your toes. It's a big stretch in the adductors as well. Plie squats are great. Sumo squats, whatever you want to call them. And then in and out. Use your elbows to allow you to sit and lift those heels. Holy calves. We got a lot of calves in this workout, my friends. Who did that? Oh, right. That was me. All right. Draw those heels up. Draw those heels up. Release your hands. Stand all the way up. Okay. And we're done with that. Turn those toes forward. Finally, we've done it. And roll down the spine, one vertebra at a time. Bend those knees if you need to touch the floor. And then shift those hips over. Twist that T-spine both directions. And then roll it on up. Excellent. Reach for the sky. Inhale. Exhale. Roll down. And do that again. Reach it over and over. Whew. Try to slow your breathing. Slow that panic response. That's one of the reasons why working out is great for your mental health. It teaches you, well, it teaches your body, I should say, teaches your body how to deal with that panic response, that fight or flight, right? That stress. Working out is a type of stress. So yes, sometimes it can be a stress reliever because you're getting your body to work through a type of stress or a type of load. Then we're going to end how we started with some lovely cat-cow. Inhale into that cow spine, exhale into that cat spine. And if your body can learn how to deal with stress, your mind will eventually follow. Walk those heels out, stretch that spine. Bringing those knees on down for a little child's pose. I like wide knees here, but if that doesn't feel comfortable for you, you can totally bring those knees underneath your chest. And just breathe. Last little thing, tuck those toes under, push back into that downward facing dog. Walk those feet to your hands to your feet, hang over those legs for a second. On your next exhale, roll up nice and slowly. Push those knees over the center of your feet. Push your hips over your knees, ribs over hips, shoulders over ribs, head over everything. And you did it, my friends. Good job. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support, and I hope to see you next week. Thank you.